All right, this is Rich Uncle's take on this Dave Ramsey show question. The guy's asking, should I wait until this housing market cools down to buy?
I'm 25. I'm not filled with my job, and I'd like to move out of my parents' house, potentially looking up north. But I have about 50,000 in investments and 90,000 in my savings, and I'm blessed to have no debt. Should I move with the current housing market situation, or should I wait? And if I should wait, should I move some of that savings money into investment, make some money while I'm waiting?
The housing market is, as you mentioned, is white hot in terms of buying a home. Some areas, the rental market is also closed up.
Yeah, I would definitely agree on the fact that it's a seller's market out there to be buying a house. You're definitely paying over what it is on the historical average, even though the historical average goes up over time. Definitely higher than that kind of average. I don't know if I quite believe in the rental market is frozen. Most apartments are in the low 90% occupied, as full occupied. So there's always rooms there. We always trying to keep the apartments below 90% because if we feel like we're in the high 90s, mid 90s, well, shame on us. That means that our rents are too low. So we need to bump the rents up to get that optimal amount of tenants and to maximize the profits. But yeah, if you have a good credit score and you don't have any criminal record on your side, then it shouldn't be any problem to rent at this point. But going back to this individual, sounds like they have a pretty decent amount of saving, which is pretty rare for a younger person like this. And this is what's tough, guys. Like when you guys are starting out like this. I mean, I was there at one time. You just have to save your money. A lot of the higher net worth investors I work with save $30, $50, $100,000 a year, and you may not be there yet. As long as you can save $1,000 or $5,000 a year, I think you should strive to get off right off the bat.
And it's very difficult to find a rental. And so rental prices are going up as fast as real estate prices are, which there should be a correlation between the two. That makes sense. You have done a wonderful job saving money, sir. Well done. You save all this money, or did somebody give it to you?
I'd say about half, maybe a little less than half, is an inheritance from my uncle. The rest is all just me saving. My father and my mother, since I was young, have always told me spend half, save half, and I just was never really a big spender, so I saved more than half at that point.
And that's cool. Like I was like that. I was saving maybe 50, 100 grand a year because I didn't have a house to pay rent initially because I just lived off the company dying for a while. Saving money can take you so far. It gets you to $250,000, $500,000 net worth, but after that, you gotta make more money and invest the right way.
And so I've just been saving I've been working since I was 16, so I've been saving for a while now, and I've always been looking forward to buying a house, and I just was feeling now was the right time, but with this housing market, it's kind of shot down my housing.
You should move up north. What are you going to do for a living when you move?
I'd stay within the same industry, but right now I'd probably go more into analytics. That's what I like to do. Right now I do more risk management.
So Kurt,
get into more analytical.
So I'm glad we've identified this because moving up north, I think you had in mind there's some companies or a company or a specific job. And I think that's the part we want to work on first is you're not happy in your job. But the good news is you're clear what you want to do. You have a good idea. The analytics is where you want to go. I think I determined that. Where's a good place to land there? Then I'd make my housing decision based on that.
Okay.
So do you have a good idea of some companies, or do you have something, when you say move north, are you just thinking an area, or are you thinking company that's pulling?
Sounds like this kid doesn't have a freaking clue where he wants to live or what he wants to do. That's just fine. Just go get a job, right? You got a professional job, go get a professional salary, then kind of see if you land on your feet. But definitely don't buy a house.
I was thinking more just Orlando or Jacksonville because I have current social networks there in finding a job. There's obviously a lot of, within my industry, there's a lot in Orlando and Jacksonville.
That's great.
So I was looking there just to get away from where I've currently been, where I've lived all my life,
Sure. That's really good strategy. So Kurt, I think you need to take some action steps. And so I would begin, if you haven't already, you obviously have the social networks there. I would actually begin to engage those social networks around those companies. You identified both friends, connections, and several companies that are in your industry, or at least it's pretty hot there. I'd start making those connections. I'm going to give you a copy of my #1 best-selling book, The Proximity Principle, which actually walks you through step by step how to make those connections, who specifically you're looking at, because I think if you get really serious about that, Kurt, right now you're in great shape financially. Let's find those opportunities. Let's go ahead and get interviews. Let's land the gig, and I think the housing decision will take care of itself because you've been very smart with your money. But let's land a job, and then let's make a housing decision as a part of it.
A lot of people say they found their jobs through their network. I think that's a little overrated for your first job. Nobody wants to stick their neck out for some newbie. who has no professional resume, you might have to just go on the old job boards like Indeeds or LinkedIn. I don't even know what they are these days, and just get your first job. Of course, the guy wants to sell his book, right? That are meaningful connections. But Rich Uncle's advice here is just go find a job, work at that job for a year or two, then use your network to parlay into your next job and find a lot of people in my network, once they get work to 8 to 10 years plus, that's when they have friends that are in higher level positions that help them navigate through the space. But at this point, it's not like this dude's green. Go find a job first, internet.
Yeah, I will just add to that. I'll take the back end of that strategy. So start working the social networks. You're only a few hours from those towns. Get the job landed. Then go rent an apartment for 6 months. Then during that 6 months, start looking for property. Don't overpay. There's no reason for you to have house fever. You can take your time. And if the market's white hot and you have to dramatically overpay to get a house, then that's God saying don't buy a house right now. Just wait.
Yeah, I think they're right here. Definitely don't buy a house. And you're mobile, right? You're saying that you're going to be going up to this region. Well, you'll probably be going somewhere else later and be dumb to buy a house. The only people will be laughing to the bank are the lenders and your broker who gets their commissions, irregardless. Take things 6 months at a time. You might have to sign a full year's lease, but yeah, definitely don't buy a house. I don't know how you're going to get financing. A lot of the lenders, they want 2 years of documented W-2 income. They'll give you a loan, but you're going to get a subprime garbage loan with a high rate. And if you do that, most of the time, the places you want to live, even when you're starting out, aren't going to be good rental stock. We buy mostly in the Class B and the C areas, which is where the sweet spot is for returns. So again, I wouldn't invest where the numbers make sense, but live where you want in this case, and combo that with renting where you want. Yeah, I would say if you have $50,000-$70,000, you could buy that, use that money to buy 2 rental properties. The big thing is getting the financing, which is going to be a problem. So showing the first couple of years of documented W-2 pay stubs. If you guys need a lending referral, let me know. If you guys like this little chat right here, drop a like button, subscribe to the channel, and engage in the comments. We always try and answer them out there and what other questions you guys have. Rich Uncle out.